everybody. Welcome to the Snow West Show. I'm Ryan Harris. Real quick before we get into this episode, the Snow West Show is made possible thanks to Polaris Snowmobiles. The Polaris Gift the Outdoor Holiday Sales Event is going on right now. Find the perfect gift for your loved one or for a Polaris fanatic with offers up to $3,000 off on select mountain sleds at your local Polaris dealer. Also, right now, you can take $50 off $250 purchase or $150 off a $750 purchase on all parts, accessories, and gear during the Gift the Outdoors Holiday Sales Event. Go see your local Polaris dealer to gear up for this upcoming riding season. Also sponsoring the show is 320 Guest Ranch, located in Big Sky, Montana, only 5 minutes away from Buck Ridge and Carrot Basin. 320 Guest Ranch offers lodging and accommodations for your next snowmobiling trip. Single cabins, large cabins. These full cabins have kitchens available. Check it out at 320ranch.com. Thanks also to Fly Racing for sponsoring the show and helping us bring this content to you. Fly Racing is the #1 gear brand in Supercross and Motocross, and they bring that same product innovation to snowmobiling. Whether it's monosuits, helmets, boots, gloves, goggles, Fly Racing has got you covered for your snowmobiling gear head to toe. Check them out at flyracing.com or at Fly Racing Snow on socials. And thanks to Deviant Inc. for supporting the show. Head on over to deviantinc.com, check out their custom wrap builder with their new interactive design tools that make designing and customizing wraps super easy. Their new colorizer tool randomizes color combinations until you land on the look that you love. Then you can try the design mixer tool to see all the Deviant Inc. designs in the colors that you've selected. Check that out and more at deviantinc.com. Thanks for being a listener. Now on to the show.
Yeah, you want to start over.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Snow West Show. I'm your host, Ryan Harris. Today, a special guest here. We have Barney with EZ Lynk.
Yes, sir.
And then we have Justin Stevens, Snow West Test Rider. Bruce Kerbs down there at the end of the table, Snow West Test Rider. You guys have heard from them quite a bit. But we have Barney on here to talk about kind of the evolution of tuning and really not even just snowmobiles. Like you guys are tuning, providing equipment and software to tune snowmobiles, UTVs.
Yeah,
trucks.
So we started in the light duty truck space, so specializing like Cummins, Power Stroke, Duramaxes, all that. That's where we got our roots from there. And all of us, this is what we do on the weekends, right? We go ride the UTVs, we go ride the sleds. And so a couple years ago, we're like, let's just make it work on everything. So we extended our application coverage to that market. So you can literally take our tool out of your truck and you can plug it into your snowmobile or your UTV and do all the same stuff that you were doing before. So you can view live data with it, you can flash the ECM, you can do all that kind of stuff with it. And the idea is the way everything is progressing these days, and you guys, especially being on the forefront, get to see all the new stuff all the time. It's the industry is progressing, right? It's not like we're got XLTs and we're changing jets anymore, right? That's not the industry we're in. It's all very automotive-y now, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Especially going forward with everything. So being able to talk to our to our toys and do the things we need to do, that's the evolution in all this, right? That's where it's all going. So, but yeah, we started light duty truck side. It's been a great market for us. One thing about us is we actually don't provide tuning. And that's kind of a misconception with us. Like, we don't provide tuning. We build the bridge and all the communication stuff between what we call a technician that can provide you with the calibration. And our tool is what they use to put it in the machine, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So EZ Lynk ourselves, we don't actually write any software. We don't do the calibration part of it.
So on the snowmobile side, who are some companies that are writing the software that are using the EZ Lynk product?
Yeah, one of our big ones is Speedworks. They're using our product pretty much solely now to deliver all their stuff. So if you got a Polaris Boost or Skidoo or the new 858, we're getting ready to release flashing support for 858 this next week. So we'll have all that stuff ready for it. So you can buy a calibration from them, somebody like that, and use our tool to put it in. So, and the nice thing is with our stuff, the one piece of hardware works across the board. So you don't have to buy a piece of hardware for every machine or every truck that you got, right? So you buy one piece of hardware and use it on everything. You can use it on all your sleds, all your UTVs. It's all done on an app on your phone. It's everything these days, right? Everything's super easy with an app. So, yeah, just simplifying the whole thing, I kind of look at our deal as like another tool in the toolbox. Just like if you want to do any work on your sled, like you need a torque wrench, right? To put it back together right, you need a torque wrench.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Not St. Anthony style.
A couple.
That's good.
A couple
Maybe a
Uggaduggas
hammer.
with the Milwaukee,
What do they
right?
call it?
Bigger hammer.
One Uggadugga or two Uggaduggas.
Right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, right. So that's totally the way you can do it.
What, torque wrenches? What are you talking about
wrenches.
over here?
Who does that?
He's an Arctic Cat rider.
Who does
Yeah,
that?
you just snug it. Just give it a snug.
Right? I like it. Right? When righty tighty turns into righty loosey, and you're like,
Yeah, then you've gone too far. Now you got problems. Now we need your tool.
I mean,
Yeah.
You're just using like cross-threading as nature's torque or
Yeah.
Loctite.
torque.
Loctite, yeah.
I usually take the bolt out before I stick it in and just give it a little tap with the hammer and lay a couple of the threads over and then put it in. It saves on Loctite.
Re-thread itself.
Yeah. Saves on Loctite.
Yeah, then you just
So-
sell the sled before you got to fix
Yeah,
it.
it's lightweight.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so
So I was in Brent Willsey's 450 dually the other day,
yeah.
and he had all your EZ Lynk buttons on his touchscreen on the dash.
Yeah.
How does that happen? Is that part of the software?
Well, what that is ours is just an app, so you can download the app. So if you get like one of those little boxes, like a CarPlay box
the
or
magic
something
box
like, yeah,
or
like one of those
whatever?
little magic boxes. If you have a late model vehicle, you can get one of those little magic boxes and plug it in, and then you can, because that just kind of hijacks your heads-up display, and you can download basically any app from the Play Store or whatever. So then you can put our app in it, and then, yeah, you can use the factory head unit in your truck to actually display data and to do everything with it. So in my little Ford, you can do that, no problem. I do that all the time.
That was pretty cool because you go back to like the early 2000s, when everybody's using like a Smarty tuner on a
Yeah.
24 valve Cummins, and
Yep.
you're plugging that thing into the OBD2 port, but you didn't have any gauges to go with it.
Right.
So you're level
guessing.
5 tune, and
Yeah.
blowing smoke, and then
Right.
it runs till it don't.
Exactly. Yeah, we've come a long ways from that, so which is good. You know what I mean? Good progress in the industry.
Yeah.
Speaking of
So-
that was way back. Me and Bobby worked at Premier Performance together.
Yeah.
Selling that
worked
stuff.
We worked at Premier for a long time together
Yeah.
there. We've worked together in a couple different avenues,
Yeah.
you and I.
Hey,
So
you keep leaving me.
I know, right? Keep jumping ship. I'm like,
You got to get away from Kerbs. Had enough of it.
so yeah, that's what happens in our area, right? It's tight. Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah, for
It-
sure.
Keep running at everybody. So
Yeah.
it's good though. It's good.
Yeah. So how does this? So it's all just a cell phone app,
Yep.
which is what allows it to be used on multiple vehicles. Do you have to buy a license for each vehicle?
The only extra thing you've ever got to buy with us, like where we don't do the tuning part of it. If you want to buy a calibration from somebody, then you would purchase that calibration from them, whether that's for your truck or your UTV or your sled or whatever. You would just purchase that calibration. But once you buy the hardware from us, and then in the power sports world, you will need an adapter cable because our unit is set up to plug right into the OBD2 on a truck. So after you have that, you just need a cable. So if you got a Polaris boost or something like that, then you would just purchase the Polaris cable and you're good to go. And another thing that we tried doing too is with our tool, you can read and clear all your engine codes. So if you've got something like that, you can take care of all that. And we have implemented the different functions from factory tools as much as we can, and we're continually adding more and more. So like on a Polaris Boost, for instance, wastegate relearns, exhaust valve relearns, injector relearns, all that type of stuff. You can do that with our tool from your phone.
What does that do? What's the benefit to forcing a relearn?
So Polaris, for instance, it's pretty common that you'll need to do an exhaust valve relearn, even on like the NAs and stuff like that. They'll come out of sync, and the only way to fix that is just to do a quick relearn, and it just recalibrates them. The procedure itself only takes, 10 seconds, maybe, once you're plugged in and doing it. But it just resyncs everything, so you don't get a check engine light. Takes that out, machine runs right like it's supposed to. You know what I mean? But
Interesting.
Did you get
Yeah.
a recall on that?
No.
Just kidding. Sorry. My bad.
But like those are the types of little things that can like really wreck your day. You know what I mean? You go out to go ride and you've got a check engine light and now your sled's not running like it should be. You know what I mean? And you're up somewhere, like what do? You got to go find a dealer to plug in a factory tool, and that's if they can get you in to do that, to do literally a 10, 15 second procedure on some of this stuff.
So you can do that on the mountain then?
Yeah, you can do that. You can do that and take care of it, fix it.
That's cool.
So key programming on Skidoos, you can reprogram keys. So if you lost a key on your Gen 4, and we're actually releasing Gen 5 option this week as well. So if you need to get a new key, you don't have to take it to the dealership, or if you've lost one and you need to steal one off of your buddy's sled or whatever to get out or something, you know what I mean? 'Cause it happens. You can take that and reprogram a key and write out. So things like that we're trying to add into our tool to make the value there. You know what I mean? Like, because like, again, going back to, we kind of joked about it, the torque wrench thing, but these new machines, like, you've got to have something like this to be able to communicate with, just like your truck. You know what I mean? You've got to be able to plug a tool into it to see what this thing's doing and what it's telling you.
Yeah.
So, that's just how it is these days, right? You're just not going to get away with a screwdriver and a box of jets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we're miles past that.
Yeah, when you were
was the
saying
good
like
old days,
clearing your DTC codes, like we built a couple Duramaxes back when we were doing the Diesel Tech stuff, and we kept one of those OBD2 port tools around just so you could clear the codes.
Yeah.
You weren't fixing anything; you were just clearing the codes to make it go away.
Right. Yeah. So
Make
you
it
can
run
keep
there for a while. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we were at the dunes this year, and just for instance, like Can-Am UTV X3 making a high pass, a speed run through the whoops, and it throws an overboost code because you're unloading and loading suspension so much, and it goes into a limp mode. And all it is a code; it just needs cleared. So we plugged it in, cleared the code, and was able to keep riding for the day. Otherwise, you're limping that thing back, hauling it to a dealer to get
waiting.
Yeah, waiting. Yeah. Hopefully, maybe it sits
your
there
day's
for a
done.
week.
So
yeah,
Oh, and paying $150. To have
Exactly.
them plug in and do the same thing.
Exactly.
So even if you're riding a stock machine and you don't necessarily want to do some fuel mapping,
Right.
horsepower stuff, like it's got a lot of benefits.
Absolutely. We're really trying to bake a lot of that in for the average guy, and so you can take this and do those kinds of things on your sled or your UTV, and then on your truck, like you put different wheels and tires on your truck, and you need to change the tire size or adjust the TPMS and all that stuff like that. Plug it in, pull up the app, do all that. So you can do a late model truck, you could do a stationary regen if you needed to with your late model diesel truck. Do a turbo relearn or a TCM relearn on a transmission. You can, a bunch of little things. Like,
Is there any risk to it? Like back again, like the old Duramaxes we were building. Like sometimes you couldn't get it to go back to a stock fuel map, and that'd be a problem. And then that's a big headache. Like, are we doing the same approach there? Are we replacing the map that's in the computer, or are you throwing a layer on top of that?
well, that's going to depend on the technician. A lot of technicians, some are just modifying a piece of the file, some are adjusting a whole table, a whole file. You know what I mean? So a lot of that's going to depend on the technician. When it comes to what we do with like the functions and stuff like that, we mimic the factory tools. So we'll look at what a factory tool is doing, whether that's from buds or digital wrench or the Ford tools or whatever it is, and we will perform that procedure in the same way that the factory tool does. So there's no risk, I guess, on anything that has to do like that. If the factory tool does it, that's how we do it. So we do the exact same thing. So
really, like where you're just connecting and doing that, then it becomes, if someone programs something that maybe doesn't work, that's where you get in an issue.
yeah,
Like,
correct. If you're flashing in a non-OEM file or something like that, that's
right. You're just giving them access to what they would get otherwise as a dealer, or the
Correct.
the dealer that the dealer has in order to
yeah.
access those files to make changes if you wanted to. So
Yeah,
that's cool.
Absolutely. And like even smaller shops, like smaller repair shops and stuff like that, have really liked our tool because they can actually do a few of these things, right? Because if you're not a Polaris dealer, you don't have access to digital wrench. You don't have that. So like an independent shop, being able to read and clear a code, it's kind of a big deal. Being able to do a quick maintenance procedure, it's kind of a big deal. So that's been really popular that way too. So
Do you guys miss the days of like jetting? and building sleds in the early 2000s.
I do.
Yeah.
I think back to when I was at RMS and we built for sled heads.
Yeah,
We built the little
MXZ.
the little MXZ, the little Rev snowcross sled. I remember doing that, and I remember being out on the trail a few times, and yeah, we stopped and changing needles and doing some adjustments on the side of the trail. Like I remember, you kind of have that little nostalgia kind of thing. You know what I mean? So sometimes you miss that. Other times it's like, I don't have to get dirty and I can just plug in. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah. Them were the fun days, though.
Yeah, they were for
Yeah.
sure. Till I wrecked that thing, I remember that. But so my bad.
Oh man. Yeah, that was a fun sled. Like, that was we were building a Snow West project sled, which was
Yeah.
always a mountain sled, and then for sled heads we built that short track race sled.
Yeah.
Wow, that thing ripped.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Loud too. I liked it.
Yeah, had the twin little race pipes on it. Yeah, little factory race pipes.
That's awesome.
Good times.
Yeah.
Good times. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's kind of what we do in a nutshell, and just trying to again give a lot of value to the average guy now that still wants to do some of this work. You know what I mean? That still wants to be able to do things with their own machine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go out and do some quick maintenance. Pull your exhaust valves out and actually clean them, or whatnot. Or if you're doing a new motor, you can reset the brake in on your motor and do all that kind of stuff, just like the factory. So
this is kind of totally sidetracked what we're talking about with EZ Lynk, but just into where you two are both mechanics and turn a lot of wrenches and did a lot of that stuff. Like, are there things like that, like pulling your exhaust valves out and cleaning it, little things like that people just do not do, that they're missing out on a little extra power and a little extra performance?
Sure.
Yeah.
That basic maintenance stuff like that, small maintenance stuff. I mean, how often do people pull their machine in like these days and if nothing else, just take an air compressor and blow their clutch out? You know
Right.
what I mean? Like how often do
Never.
people actually
Probably ever.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
just little things like that. Like it can really just prolong the life of all those components, and just that little edge. Everybody's always looking for that little edge. You know what I mean? Just keep that. You spent all this money on a high-end machine, right? So a little bit of maintenance goes a long way just to keep it running at that level you want it to.
I think a lot of people expect that because the machines are so much different, especially like the factory turbos,
Yeah.
they're just turnkey like a car. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to do any of that maintenance anymore.
There's still grease zerks on some of them.
Yeah. There are still grease.
Probably never got the paint off of them.
Right?
But
Yeah.
I remember indexing spark plugs.
Yep.
So your index was towards the fire and the little things. So
Yeah, all the little things like that.
That was pretty fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely changed.
Yeah.
Definitely changed. But no, I mean, and it's hard. Like, it's not as easy. Like, it's not like the old sleds where you open up your clamshell style hood, right? And you have everything
Access.
right there. You know what I mean? It's
Hey,
totally
Rob
different.
Kincaid.
So, yeah, different industry. You know what I mean? Different way they're going. Very much more finely finished fit products and stuff like that than we used to have, for sure.
Yeah.
So,
Nowadays, you got to pull the motor to change spark plugs.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. I had a...
Take the tunnel off at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was the gentleman in the booth while we were here at the show, and he had something to say about one of the brands, about how inconvenient it was to change a set of spark plugs. I'm like, get it.
What's the easiest one to change plugs on right now?
The XLT.
The XL.
What's the easiest 2025 to change plugs on?
I don't know. You know what's crazy is I haven't put a new set of plugs in forever, to be honest with you.
I'm still going to probably say it's Polaris because the motor's still upright. Next would probably be the Cat. The skidoos are tucked in the back, so with that direct injection and everything like that. So I would probably say Polaris is still the easiest
Yeah.
to do that. So, but yeah.
So what are you riding these days, sled-wise?
This year I picked up a carryover Polaris 850, actually. So I kind of had the thought, like, I feel like this year's, if a guy's in the market for a sled this year, you know what I mean? Like, I would be totally looking at the new carryover market, because there are some awesome deals out there. And yeah, they made some changes for the 2025s, but they aren't like massive getting left behind the crowd type changes. You know what I mean? It's just refinements, and I think that's what you're going to see throughout as we go on. Like, you're going to see a lot of little refinements every year. But
Did you get the free GoPro?
No, I missed that by like 3 days. Because I went in and bought the sled, and I'm like, all right, I got to get this so I can get it done, get it ready for the shows. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. And I bought it like at the very end of the month. And yeah, like the next week, get a free GoPro. I'm like, are you kidding me? So
That's okay. It'll just keep you from crashing. The minute you turn on a GoPro,
Right.
things always go sideways.
Yeah.
yeah.
There's nothing worse than reviewing GoPro footage. Let's be honest.
Oh,
Like, oh, where's that one spot? That was so cool. Like,
Yeah, and then you look at it.
God,
and
that
you're
sucked.
Yeah.
delete.
That's not what I
I'm not
remember.
posting that. That looks stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a guy looking for a sled this year, go
Yeah.
find a carryover. Go find a carryover and take that couple grand or or more that you're going to save on that thing and go dump it into some aftermarket stuff and really dial that thing in.
What are some aftermarket things that you would do after an EZ Lynk, of course?
I'm a fan of, number one, getting some weight off the thing. You know what I mean? Making it as easy to ride as you can. So a few things like that. I actually threw a skidoo track underneath my Polaris this year, so the 3-inch skidoo track. So we're going to try that out.
That saved you how many pounds, did you say?
It's actually about a half a pound heavier.
Oh, that's right.
Going from the 275 to a 3-inch skidoo track. So
And this is the free ride track, the 15 wide?
yeah, 15 wide free ride track, bolts right in, clears perfect. So
Same pitch and everything, too.
Yeah, same 3.5 pitch. Yeah, bolts right in. You have a little extra clearance in there, and it's 5, 6, 7 pounds ish lighter than a 325 Polaris track. So
Performance gains are worth it, though, versus the 275?
I think so. I mean, the skidoos, hopping on the skidoo, those things bite pretty good. You know what I mean? I feel like that track really hooks up good, especially in the softer snow. Like, it's got some good bite to it. So I think throwing that underneath that's going to be a nice, good all-around kind of thing. Kind of excited to try it out. And then I threw a lightweight hood on mine, just kind of taking some weight out of it. I think I got about, without spending a ton of money, probably a little over 22 pounds out of it. So, which is good.
That's pretty significant.
Yeah, it's not bad for not doing a whole lot. Throw lightweight muffler on it and a few things like that, and it's going to be good. Past that, just dialing in your clutching and suspension. These sleds are so good now, like the adjustments and being able to dial everything in, like just working that. I think that's a lot of people just buy a new sled and then just ride it, right? They don't ever play with any of the clickers on the suspension or do any of that, and there's a lot of adjustments there on these new machines. So
You kind of have your own recipe for clutching or using somebody's kit?
I use a little bit of mine and then some help. I definitely get a lot of help from the industry. There's some good, solid guys out there. Tony from TRS Performance, he's a phenomenal guy to work with. He does a ton of clutching up with us. So we've worked with him a lot over this last year and a half because he's really helping out some of the racers that we deal with, like Toby Shepard and Sam Peterson and stuff like that. So we help those guys out quite a bit on the Rimshaw circuit. So having those guys to be able to lean on, in the industry that just really have some knowledge is awesome. You know what I mean? So good guys, really good guys to be able to lean on. Use those avenues when you got them for sure. So
What do you think, Bruce? Need to EZ Lynk the cat?
Might have to. Can you get it to like turbo status?
no.
Next year.
Factory turbo status.
Factory turbo.
There isn't a button on the app that just says add turbo.
Right. I wish it was that simple, right? That would be sweet.
That would be cool.
That would be cool.
I want to see somebody, and I don't. Maybe it'll never be done. I want to see somebody take a catalyst and do like a turbo R swap or a Patriot Boost swap.
Yeah.
Put the whole ECU, wiring harness, everything, engine, turbo system. Bring that over. It probably wouldn't even fit. I'm probably just smoking crack over here, but
Bruce you can see the wheels just turning in his head. He's
He's
like,
a bigger hammer here and torque wrench here.
Can you imagine
just need that torque wrench.
the flack you'd catch for that? It's like the guy that takes a Ford, an old Fox body Mustang, and stuffs an LS in it.
Yeah, right.
Everybody cries foul and the world's ending. You know what I mean? So,
but you go back far enough and you are sticking 670 Rotax twins in the
Yeah,
XLT
For
chassis.
sure.
it's true. It's true.
Those were really cool.
That's the one thing I do kind of miss about our industry is that the sleds have gotten so. Frankly, the sleds have just gotten so good these days. Like people, you're not doing that anymore, right? You're not doing that because you buy a factory boost or a Turbo R off the showroom floor, 180 horse, and you're not messing with it. Chassis is great. But, back in the day, you're doing just that. You're pulling out you're throwing a Rotax in a Polaris and doing all these crazy things, tube chassis and just all these one-off unique things that were just, kind of cool to see and look at. I mean, that's why it's fun to see the vintage class at Jackson now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All some of the old iron comes out and you see like all the just tedious hours that went into all this one-off custom stuff. It's just cool to see.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, there's just not the need for that like there was, I guess, because the equipment has just gotten so good.
It has, but it's funny. Like I think Blaine Matthews, not last year but the year before, his time on his old stuff was right up there with mod class stuff on brand new equipment.
Yeah.
So is there really that big of a difference? I mean, the new stuff's probably easier to ride.
Easier to ride, sure.
But he turned a very fast time on that mod sled.
Yeah, when the revs, that rev platform in Jackson this year. And I'm kind of excited because I think isn't the cutoff like 20 years?
Yeah, 20 years.
For vintage. So if I'm thinking right, then you'll see some of I wouldn't be surprised to see some IQRs, like Polaris IQRs, the first year of that snowcross sled. In when everybody was cutting those up and using them for hill climbers too back in the day. So you probably see a few AR and Polarises out there on the hill this year.
Well, and it's funny. It's a 20-year cutoff on the vintage stuff, but in the Midwest, like some of the smaller snowcross circuits, they've excluded the rev because it was so much faster. Even though it was within 20 years, you couldn't race a rev in the vintage class because it had such a big advantage.
At the time, it was a huge leap forward. Huge leap forward, and just the whole mentality of how everybody chose to ride a sled back then. So yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Now we need to put together some sort of event. I mean, Brandt's got something going with his old iron shootout down there in Colorado, but it'd be cool to see. I think that's going to become more of a thing. Like people just go find 20-year-old sled somewhere in that era.
Yeah.
Because mid-90s sledding, 90s to late 90s to say 2010 was an era that stands apart because there was so much advancement.
Yes.
In chassis designs, that we like now we get a new chassis, we go from Gen 4 to Gen 5, and it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Back then, you would go from like a ZX platform to a Rev platform, and it's totally different.
Yeah.
You have to learn how to ride it again. It's a different riding position and everything.
Yeah.
And same thing with Cat. Like when the M7 came out, you went from one M chassis to the M7 chassis to the M chassis, and totally different riding style. In fact, they had people going out and doing tours teaching people how to ride the M7.
Yeah, I remember that. I was on one of those with
Rasmussen?
Yes, Rasmussen. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I remember going out on one of those with him when that came out. So
and I think that's just such a unique era that stands out. And hopefully, I think it'd be fun just to start rounding up some old sleds and just having days on the snow where you ride the old stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pulling them back in and riding two up to get out.
I was going to say that is kind of funny. I mean, it's like I've got an old pickup. It's an old 1971 Ford, and it's really fun to drive for a little bit.
Oh, yeah?
a little bit. Sometimes I'm like, I'm just going to get rid of my new truck and just drive that. I'm like, no, it's pretty nice.
It's pretty nice. New stuff is the new equipment is pretty awesome. But it's funny because like out here, out west, like nobody wants the old XLTs and the old Ultras and the old stuff like that, right? Like you just get rid of that stuff as soon as it comes out. Back west, they go back to heydays, and dude, that stuff. It seems like there's a real resurgence a little bit for that older iron in those eras. Whether it's Cat or Skidoo or Polaris, but.
And there's parts everywhere for them, so you could really keep it running for another 10 years. Just keep coming back to heydays and get what you need.
Right, just keep walking through the swamp. So
it's pretty cool.
It's hard to find those parts out here, out west.
Yeah.
There's definitely not as many of those. We've got 2 XLTs sitting in the garage up and down the park, and it's fun to start them up and listen to them. And then, you cough and you can't breathe. And you shut them off and put them back in the corner where they belong. And
I just remember jumping on one and trying to ride up a hill, and it just kept the handlebar just kept hitting me right in the knees.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just like, it wasn't fun.
I don't know, man. Yeah, there's just so much. If you didn't start, like I tease Andy Thomas every now and then when I see him because he didn't start riding until all that stuff was gone. Like he's only known how to ride like a Pro RMK up,
right?
Pro Ride chassis up. And it's like, man, you've never had a seat with a bump on the back that kept you from sliding off.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
And a big plastic tail light that shattered every time your buddy tail-ended you.
Right. You never sat there as you're getting dressed and like, boy, do I need to wear my kidney belt today? Is this, am I leaving this in the gear bag or am I not? You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing today?
I left my sandwich bags at home, dang it.
Yeah, right?
There is something fun and challenging about it, though, and having to kind of it's fun to try and ride a sled like that, maybe similar with, techniques that we use in today's world, and try to, I don't know, it's a challenge. So
sure.
It is a challenge.
So
Most of it don't work.
Oh, yeah. No, Brant posted a few pictures of his 700 RMK that he's been working on, the 97 700.
Yeah.
That he tore apart, cleaned up,
Yep.
put SLP twins on it. And, man, he posted something this morning, and that thing looks brand new. I don't know what he's using on it to get it clean, but
Yeah.
that thing looked brand new. It even has that lever for reverse.
The park brake lever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Up there by the throttle.
Yeah.
I don't know. That brought back a flood of memories this morning for some reason. But it
cool.
just made me think of that old iron like that.
It's cool. It's really cool to see some of that kind of come back. Stuff like that, it's just huge stepping stones to where we are now. So when that 700 came out and the era of the twins and all that kind of stuff really came out, just totally changed where we're at today.
But it makes you appreciate how reliable. I mean, I know. When I say the word reliable, everybody that's watching this is going to say, "Oh, the Polaris's are this, and them Skidoos are that, and them Arctic Cats are this." No, nothing's reliable. Yeah, they are compared to what we're talking about.
Compared to what we have had,
like you got a turnkey sled that starts with the push of a button, and if you blow a belt after 300 miles or you have something that you got to adjust.
Yeah.
It's nothing compared to when you were literally dropping needles, changing main jets.
Right?
I think especially if you compare it to the amount of technology that's actually in these sleds, like that has grown exponentially. So,
yes.
I mean, you're seeing a few problems. We're talking thousands of things that could go wrong, and you're seeing maybe 2 or 3. So,
that's where his product has to come into play, because the old school mechanicum is no longer.
Yeah, it's not going to work like it used to. And if people want to say, brand bash a little bit that, this isn't reliable or that isn't, I mean, at the end of the day, you got to step back and like, okay, well, we were riding a 80 horsepower 3-cylinder something or other, you know what I mean, back in the day. And now you can go into the dealership and you can buy a factory turbocharged snowmobile that has 180 horsepower with a warranty. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta. There's some perspective there,
right?
You know what I mean? And sure, every brand has its quirks. Every little things has their own little hiccups, but okay. Like you're not gonna. You have that with your pickups. You got that with your car. You got that with everything.
Right.
You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, good criminy, when you can do 60 mile an hour and gain speed going up a hill with 3 feet of powder on your factory turbo, I mean, like they're doing pretty damn good in my eyes.
Yeah,
that's pretty impressive.
Funny you mentioned the turbo, because there's a funny story. You were at the cabin when we had one of the OEMs out there doing a sneak peek, and we were talking about turbos for some reason, and one of the lead engineers for this OEM was like, you know the story of how the turbos ended? Like, we all got together, all the manufacturers, Skidoo, Arctic Cat, Polaris, Yamaha, all got together and said, look, we're hurting ourselves with turbos because they're not reliable, they're not dependable, they're causing problems. And what happens is you get a guy at home who bought a turbo year after year after year and has nothing but trouble with it.
Right.
His wife doesn't care what brand it is.
No.
So his wife is just pissed that the snowmobile that they bought doesn't run.
Right.
And or whatever, but it's hurting each other because he's just like, well, it's just because I bought this brand, I'll get this one next year. She's just pissed that you bought a snowmobile and the snowmobile doesn't run.
Right.
So they banded together and said, hey, let's all stop building triples. Like, it'll do us all good. So I just thought that was kind of a fun little piece of trivia. But
that is interesting that they would kind of do that, but I could see that. It makes sense. You know what I mean? You got to balance that home life, especially with the way sleds are these days. You know what I mean? You're buying a new sled, you're making a pretty dang big commitment. You know what I mean? You rock in and write a check for a new sled. Like, it's a pretty big commitment.
Yeah, divorce rate's gone up, I've heard.
I heard that too.
Since that.
I think they're just as cheap as they used to be.
Yeah, that's what you tell your wife.
Who?
What?
That's
expensive.
Bruce's,
What are you
Bruce's
talking
fear
about?
when he passes is his wife sells all of his stuff for what he told her he paid for.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No, honey, I made a deal with the dealership a long
Yeah.
time ago. Same price. It's
Yeah,
never,
same price.
never
Same price.
changes.
Grandfathered in.
Right?
Didn't lose any money. Didn't cost me anything.
That's right.
That's why there's storage units.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Turn into a Ford.
Can,
Put
can you
away.
put a button on the EZ Lynk app that makes my Turbo R sound like a triple?
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome.
That would be
right?
bad, eh?
I do. That is still one thing to this day. Like you're up in the hill and you just hear something. You know, you'll hear something coming down the trail or whatever. Somebody's got an old triple out there. That is the coolest sound.
Yeah.
I still think to this day.
Yep.
Hearing an old Polaris or the old Yamahas or something like that, you hear a triple just wound tight running 9,000 RPM through the hills. Like,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
All right. Well, Bobby, we'll let you go. I know you got to get back to your booth and do some
Yep.
actual work here. But this is what we do. So
Yeah.
we got all
Thanks
day.
for joining us.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Happy to
All right.
be
Yeah.
here.
Bobby Barney, EZ Lynk.
Yep. Check us
Justin
out.
Stevens, Bruce Kerbs. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening.